In addition, I'm interested in your, governance structure. Your director of climate change department at General Secretariat of the National Council for Sustainable Development, leading the measures, policy and measures on climate change. So now I think your government are trying to integrate the policies of each relevant ministry and agencies. So if you have any experience on what is challenges and opportunity to implementing the policies in such a integrated ways. If you have any views on the governance structure in your government.
Yeah, thank you very much for this question. I would like to update you that recently the government has changed the General Secretariat of the National Council for Sustainable Development to General Directorate of Policy and Strategy. Since this institution become like a brain institution for environment. That's why Minister Environment, he put the name as General Directorate of Policy and Strategy. And I think this institution play very important to coordinate all climate change, green development, environment, biodiversity, livelihood, improvement, and so on, to mainstream this kind of concept into relevant ministry and also agencies. The role is still there. Of course, it's really a success story for Cambodia that even we least developed country, but we have tried to implement a lot of climate change activity. We start from project-based to institutions, meaning that before 2003, Cambodia don't have climate change office or climate change department. But having seen the importance of climate change in 2003, the country established the climate change office. And then 2009, we established the Department of Climate Change. It played more stronger roles. And of course, 2015, the country established the National Council for Sustainable Development, as you can see by name. It's really a success story for Cambodia. After we developed our climate change strategic plan 2014-2023, we also mainstream climate change into sectoral ministry, meaning that more than 10 ministries, they develop their sectoral climate change. So I think it is very important that the line ministry, they pay attention on the integration of climate change into their respective ministry. And they even develop a sectoral strategy, to support the implementation of climate change. And so far, we still continue the integration of climate change into different institutions. I would say that yes, another positive for Cambodia, that even the Deputy Prime Minister, Minister of Economy and Finance, he prioritized climate change activities. And even he asked experts, to conduct assessment for public assessment of climate change, the assessment like use vehicle for country development, how the impact of use vehicle for tax income and also emission reduction. I think it is a very good initiative for the countries. And even assessment of the impact of energy option for economic development and climate change response. So I think it is also another initiative for Cambodia that we look at different aspects, in order to find the way how Cambodia should go, with the context of climate change. And Ministry of Environment, I would say that really try to encourage the sectoral ministry to think about science-based policy development, meaning that we need to enhance research and we need to explore the opportunities or different options or different scenarios in order to develop our long-term planning. Like we develop our long-term strategy, we propose different scenarios where Cambodia should go before we decide, okay, this way it should be suitable based on our science. So I think it is very important for our country, you know, we take science-based into account. And I think climate change is one of the advanced topic for our country context. However, there's a lot of challenge as you raised that we are developed country, you know, when we look at the human capacity, it's really limited. And, you know, the Ministry of Environment played a coordinating role. I would say that we have more interaction with the international community in the area of climate change. But the other ministry is still, you know, limited. We do need strong cooperation and strong capacity from the line ministry to depth understand the area of climate change. Besides that, our finance, you know, we, of course, we sponsor a lot of money for climate change response, but we still not yet have a concrete plan, you know, to include common budget into climate response. Right now, even we gradually integrate, but it's still. And we rely mainly on the international support. On this, you know, as you may know that with the increasing impact of climate change, of course, the country need to have more strong and sustainable budget reserve in order to address the impact of climate change. And this is very big gap for our country. And on this, you know, our country try to mobilize more resources from our international communities, and we try to consider how we should do, you know, in order to sustain this kind of budget support. We look at our country budget and so on. This is how we are doing, but the challenge is still there, and we try to bridge the challenge with our capacity. But as I said, you know, common but differentiated responsibility is very important.
Okay, yeah.
We have very low historical responsibility. Yeah?
Thank you so much. So, yes, I think in terms of institutional arrangement in the government, I think your government is in advance, compared to other countries. So you establish, you know, the mechanism. So, you know, National Council for Sustainable Development is coordinating with line ministries and also Ministry of the Environment for promoting not only climate change policy, but also SDGs, you know, 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. I think, you know, creating a horizontal coordination mechanism is one of the challenges for many countries, according to our assessment. So I think I hope you will continue to promote horizontal coordination much more. And also I acknowledge that of course, your country needs cooperation support on the finance and capacity from international communities. So I hope that the public and private sector in the world can further enhance the collaboration with the country in the future. Okay, so may I have the final question? United Nations University is a UN agency responsible for promoting research and educational activities with regard to sustainable development. So, please provide a message to us on the role of international cooperation for capacity building and education to implement the climate change action under the Paris Agreement. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I think it is very important question for all the countries in the world, I would say. As you may know that education is very important for everything, socio-economic development, moralities, ethics, and virtue, and so on. You know, it based on education. Our history shows that the world advanced because education, technology, research, and innovation, and so on. We see that the role of international cooperation become a successful story, you know, when we look at history And also currently we see that no country without international cooperation can develop their own country, you know. So the international cooperation for education, technology transfer, investment, trade, culture, it become critical and become an ingredient for the economic developments. We know that the world has different geography, different education system, economic development, human resource. But every country, I would say that they want to bring their country to a level that can satisfy their people. On this, you know, the education is very important to achieve this goal. And we see that developed countries like Japan, Australia, the US, European country, they provide a lot of education scholarship to developing country and least developed country to show know-how. And some leader, they also graduate from those countries, you know, and they become a leader of the countries. On this, I think United Nations University, they really adopt a good order on right time, you know, especially the integration of education to implement the Paris Climate Agreement. Since right now, you know, the world is talking about climate change, and one of the milestone of the world is Paris Climate Agreement. The education in this area, the integration of education in this area is very important, and the opportunity provided to developing country and also least developed country is even more important. As I said, that in order to bring the world to the same level in terms of thinking, I think only through education. I think we cannot bring the world into the same economic development, you know, but education is okay. It means that we have the same brain and we have the same time for education, even different facilities. As I said previously, we need science-based for policy design and strategic developments. So when we look at the climate change context, you know, long-term vision, 20 years, 30 years, 100 years and ahead, without science-based, how can we design such kind of long-term planning? And without education, how can we achieve that goal of the world that to bring our temperature rise to 1.5 degrees Celsius? Mm-hmm. I can share an example of my country. You know, I would say that it's really a success story that after I had opportunity to learn the model development and model design, I see that, okay, it is very important that our country need to follow this. And then I have opportunity to share my knowledge, especially, you know, I had opportunity from the government that, okay, they assigned me to facilitate and coordinate the development of long-term strategies. Mm-hmm. And I see it is the translation of my education to the real practice. So when I lead the coordination and facilitation of the development of long-term, I see that, okay, I feel clear that, okay, where I should go for the country. And also time, we spend not long time to develop these long-term strategies. And even the coordination with line ministry also not so complicated, since we know where we should go. I think on this, you know, the opportunity provided to developing and least developed country, it's very important from United University and also other university in the world to provide opportunity to all students and researchers and also to the government officer who willing to study in this area. And I would say that when we can build stronger scientists, when we build stronger research, I think there will be another opportunity for the international community when we come for negotiation in the area of climate change. So I would say this is my impression with your initiative and your support for education, especially the implementation of Paris Agreement. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for introducing your success story and with regards to education and encouraging and strong words for our activities, and very nice message for highlighting the importance of the education for promoting climate change actions. So, Dr. Hack, thank you for joining us today. I hope to see you again face-to-face in the near future. For our listeners, see you at our next session. Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you and goodbye.
Yeah.